everyone, and welcome to the Autonomous Agency panel. We're going to talk about all things AI, on-chain data, and the future of Web3 growth. I'm Angelica, Ortega, founder and CEO of Novify. We're a talent Web3 layer for Web3, digital assets and security, so building teams using a lot of that stuff. So I'm very pleased to be sharing stage with awesome speakers and panelists. I'll let them introduce themselves in just a minute. But I wanted to, just before we get started, AI and on-chain data is a really strong emerging narrative here at Web3 at the moment. So I think the best thing for 30 minutes is to really talk about examples of every single agency and ecosystem here at building, so we have really strong takeaways and understand what's working, what's not, and what's missing. So without further ado, I'm going to kick off with Martin to ask, what are you, sorry, straight at you.
This wasn't like this in rehearsal, okay?
There was no rehearsal, this was like short notice, and I'm very pleased about actually. But what's really new in automation, AI on-chain that you're seeing at Ton, and perhaps we can do a round and introduce yourselves, guys.
Cool. If you don't know who I am, I'm Martin. I'm from Ton, Telegram network. Actually, who's on Telegram at the moment? Just raise your hands. Good, good, good. Yes, it's a bit of a loaded question. If you're not on Telegram here, I don't know what you're doing at all. I'll do a little thing. I normally do a little giveaway anyway. So we'll do a random question. Who's come the furthest? So has anyone traveled here outside of London for Zebu? Yeah? Anyone outside of the UK? Oh, anyone outside of Europe? God, there's quite a few. Wow. Guys at the back, where are you from? Kansas. Kansas. And what about yourself? California. What's further, California or Kansas?
You missed the "you're not in Kansas anymore" joke.
Yeah. Totally.
All right, hands up, California. Hands up, Kansas. Hands up if you're not that interested in this bit. Okay, I'll come over to. Sorry, these guys are more. They're smiling. I'll come over midway through. I'll get your details. I'll send you a Telegram gift. Some of them worth about 20 grand actually. So there we go. Anyway.
Hold on.
Anyway.
Can we get one of those?
Right. Sorry.
Can we get one of those?
Where are you from?
London. But
London.
Still,
yeah.
you know.
Doesn't really fit into the question anyway. And where were you from? Nigeria. I don't know. We'll sort something out, okay? Never realized this was going to get me in as much trouble as possible. Anyway, AI. So I think actually a lot of people are maybe looking at AI quite differently than maybe how I'm actually seeing it. So I think with AI, everyone's like, what is it for the user? But actually, I'm seeing a lot of builders actually using AI actually to complement their building. And actually quite a lot of, I don't know if anyone's played any Telegram games at all, there's quite a few studios that actually are using AI just to build their game. So it's all AI built. I'll go into it a little bit later because I don't want to ruin my secret sauce, but I'll pass it on to yourself, Kat.
Okay. I'm Catie. I'm the founder and CEO of Babs, and we too are looking at AI and automation from a marketing and PR perspective. So we like to refer to ourselves as a data-driven marketing agency for Web3. We're currently building an in-house product that is using AI, Roger AI is what it's called, and dopamine, which is a layer on top of that for kind of community engagement. Yeah, we're a global firm and kind of excited to see what everyone's talking about in terms of how we're using AI to change Web3 marketing especially. More from what Martin was saying, not just from the user, but how we're using it for automation, how we're using it for growth, how we're using it to improve the value that we bring to the consumer. So yeah, excited to be here.
Thanks. My story is not too dissimilar. I'm Danny, CEO at Hype, also crypto native marketing agency. We launched Hype AI earlier this year, which is very similar. When we realized that actually there's a bunch of tooling and the whole space is changing, right? How we do growth, how we do marketing is fundamentally going to completely change for all of us, right? Not just in crypto, but the world. We were out there looking, okay, what tooling exists? What things can we use? How can we help do that better? And we realized it didn't really exist. So we started, okay, well, let's just figure out how to build it ourselves. And then before we know it, probably like you guys, used find yourself building stuff, and then you go, okay, well, this is useful, and then you start building on top of it. And so we're really experimenting at the moment, and we're in that phase of figuring out what is it that we can do, not just using AI for the front end of stuff, as in like for better content or better video production or whatever, right? Everyone can do that. In fact, we've been doing it for years. This is like AI in terms of how to run the business, right? How do you become a more efficient business? How do you communicate better with people? How do you onboard new staff? How do you work with clients? All these things, actually AI helps all of that stuff. And not enough people yet are building those systems. Specifically for us as a service business, as a people business, there's a lot of things that we need that I think are going to supercharge what we do. So that's kind of a direction we ended up going in without really meaning to. And yeah, so that's maybe something interesting to talk about today.
Hi everyone, so my name is Tim. I'm the founder of Lunar Strategy. We're also a grow firm, and we've been here for about 6 years now. When AI kind of started to enter the market, we were very quick with jumping on board with, and last year we hosted the Crypto AI Con in Portugal. We had 1,300 people coming and meeting up with many of the leaders that are building different AI, SaaS, and a mix of everything. And I think over the last year, similar to what everybody else here has been doing, is that a few years ago it would have costed hundreds of thousands to build a new website and app, but right now you can have a non-technical person can vibe code together different dashboards and different SaaS solutions just in a few hours, and then fine-tune over days. So we have gone all in and built a lot of internal tools that are very specific for and customizable, where like a person in the team can customize it and adjust it. So yeah, looking forward to chatting.
Thank you, Tim, and thanks everyone. So I think what I wanted to start with first is what's new and how we're moving forward into the next year. And something that you, Danny, were talking about recently in one of your keynotes is how we're transitioning from agency as a service to agency as a system, and how we run off those growth marketing campaigns. They're not like as a service anymore. So I would like you to explain a little bit more what you mean by that, and perhaps everyone might have a say to it, because I really see that, and the workflows seem very interesting to me, how it might work.
Sure, yeah, and we're talking to a room full of people who are early adopters. Most people in this room probably know what NAN is. They've probably looked at different workflows. They're probably using LLMs every day. Like we're not talking to the masses here, but I think I really believe that we're moving away from building marketing campaigns and we're building marketing systems. That we're already seeing that today, right? A workflow, it might not be great, but you can already set up a workflow that basically takes a brand new project, does research on it, figures it out, plugs that then into some campaign idea, does a bunch of competitor research, figures out what people are saying, comes up with a narrative, builds a whole campaign, creates a video, writes a bunch of tweets, like comes up with, and then posts it all, learns what's working, iterates on it, and goes back to the beginning. That already exists today. You can already build that actually very easily and quickly. Now the quality of it is the question mark, and actually there's points throughout that journey where humans and people and marketers still need to be involved to make sure that the quality is there. That's going to continue to get better. But I think when we look at marketing systems, that's kind of like how we see things. And I think we're not that far away. You know, within the next 6 to 12 months, already I'm expecting that rather than clients going to agencies to say, hey, can you run a campaign for me? Hey, can you build me a campaign system? Can you build me a workflow that runs this, that I can then run myself and optimize? And actually, before we know it, we're probably running engineering teams, because we're actually like, sure, we'll build that for you. And then every few weeks or months, a new LLM comes out or a new update happens or something changes, and that's going to need to update the APIs or the systems. And so actually, yeah, sure, like before we know it, they're paying us a retainer not to run a marketing campaign, but to sort of keep their marketing campaign workflow up to date. So I think there's a massive fundamental shift generally that's going to happen, not just in our industry with marketing, but all services businesses. And that's what's really interesting for us, and that's what we're exploring, really.
Can I just add to that? I was going to say, essentially, at some level, I think what we're all sort of building are agency killers at some level. And that's okay, because the way we're moving with AI is that we're going to be able to use these tools. We're going to be able to use this data that we're pulling. For us, we're building something that we're pulling a lot of on-chain data. We can see wealth value. There's so much that we can pull right now that with all of that information and empowering a project to understand how to use it, they themselves can start to run these campaigns. They can start doing growth campaigns. They can start building their own VIP communities. And I think that's where we'll see the shift. It's sometimes almost a bad word to say we work in marketing because it's not really what we do anymore, and it's not what we're building anymore. We're building ways for projects to be successful and to be differentiated and to grow and to find consumers, whether it's retail or it's institutional. And I think all of the products at some level that we're building, maybe in a year or two will be up here, and we won't be even talking about marketing. We might be just talking about products that are improving and helping Web3 scale in a different narrative at some level.
I think that is still marketing. It's just the new
It's
world.
just a new word.
World of marketing.
Yeah, it's just a new word. We have to invent a new word for it now.
So let's wrap up with the agency side, and then I'll go back to you, Martin. So obviously, Tim, you building quite a lot of tooling, on-chain tooling for Lunar strategy. How does that look like in real examples, and how is that improving the way measurable ROI in the space?
So what we started with was we actually hosted some marketing hackathons within our team, and then we invited some other teams as well to Lisbon. And then you sit and have a workshop, and then you kind of start brainstorming and putting the group into different teams and think like, what do you do today that you can easily build an agent for, or a dashboard for, or this kind of tooling for? So what we started with was just like, what do we do today that you think you can improve with coding? And then we invited Cursor and a person from their team to go over like how you can vibe code and connect different APIs. So as a marketing firm, you often use like different spreadsheets, and then you collect the data from this source, and this source. And then what we quickly figured out was like, okay, so you can just take the API from here, take the API from there, take the API from there, put it together into a customizable dashboard, and then you could, for a person with a team, something that previously took hours and hours of tedious work to collect all of the data, came in right away, and then you can build on it, you can customize it, and because it's vibe coded and kind of built, so then you can customize it in the future when you need some other data sources. So that's kind of where we started, and just trying to think like, what do we do today that you can optimize and that you can build, and then we gave the team the time to build it, and the people in our team also was very excited about it, because they saw that what they did had such a big impact just within a few days of work, and then it had a massive impact. So that's kind of how it started.
That's awesome. And what's next? Like, is it going to scale up, or are you going to expand it to other agencies, institutions? What's the plan?
So some of the tools very quickly got, especially within the content creation tools. So we kind of opened it up a little bit for some partners that we have allowed to test it, and then basically for free to some other like agency friends and so on. We invited them to test it, and some of them actually saved a lot of time very quickly. So I'm not sure if over future it will turn into like a SaaS or like a software arm, but for now, basically we are testing it with some good friends and some partners.
Exciting. Well, good luck. Looking forward to seeing that full flesh. Martin, so tell me a little bit from an ecosystem perspective and playbook growth, what's actually new, and reveal secret sources.
I think a while back, everyone just thought that they needed to build an application for AI to give to the users. So we had a huge amount. We had about 20 or 30 major projects that were building it, and the idea would be, I'd speak to it, can you do my trading on this? Can you buy my meme coins? Can you sell my meme coins? But there wasn't actually a huge amount of uptick. And actually a lot of people that it worked with were mainly just bots. I think people just weren't that interested in doing it. We have seen now, though, nearly every project that I've dealt with has AI in a lot of their workflow. So someone did a trailer, and I couldn't believe what high quality it was. And I said to them, I said, how much of this was AI? And they said a majority was AI, but obviously we're using not just one AI tool, multiple tools that we have. Now he said, this was roughly the same quality that if I went to an external agency, they would have probably charged me 10 times that amount. And he said, for me, it really wasn't worth paying 10 times. We got it out, we did it in-house, we had all our prompts. So we're seeing a lot more of that. We're seeing a lot more now, a bit of this vibe coding, and we're seeing a lot more people testing their codes against other AI tools as well. So another example that we have, we need to do something on Ton for the bridging. So we've got 2 people that are integrating it. One is a guy in basically his bedroom, or maybe his office, and then there's a big company, and so this guy, just through AI, he got all of this sorted in under a week, okay? The big company with all the coders doing this have got that done. They're still ongoing, and it's been 2 months. So you can sort of see the benefits of this, but at the same time, I can't go and then do that myself. You still need someone being able to do all the prompt engineering. So I actually do see a lot more of this, of utilizing a lot of this, especially with the code, finding the bugs within this as well. So this is what I'm seeing a lot more of, and I'm gonna say there's quite a few amazing games that have been built on Telegram and Ton, and I couldn't believe when they told me it's all AI. So you don't realize that, and to be honest, do you care for games AI, if it's a good game, if it's made by AI? No. Anyone care? No. There's did anyone watch Dispatches, actually, the other day? It's all about AI, for a very intellectual crowd we have there. But basically, they basically were just saying, like, look, AI is going to take certain jobs, but then there's going to be a huge new range of roles that are there, from prompt engineers to people sort of working off both of that. So I sort of see that, and I don't think it's going to take over the industry. I think it's just going to complement and help a lot more people out, and that's what I'm seeing firsthand.
Yeah, just to add to that as well, we talk about this a lot internally. Like, I think a lot of people have this, like, oh, AI is coming for our jobs. And I've been saying for a long time to everyone, particularly at Hype, is that AI is not coming to your job. People who know how to use AI are coming for your job. And so you have a choice, right? You can adapt or die. And it feels very doom and gloom, but for me, it's really exciting. I actually think it's an incredible opportunity for us as people, particularly as marketers and service businesses. I think this 10x is what you can possibly do. And a lot of people are very doom and gloom about people jobs, but actually, when you look at one man in his basement can code a bridge to Ton, that's software as a service, systems, that's where there's potential risk, because actually a lot of that is automated. A lot of the coding, Facebook say by the end of the year, all their coding will be done by AI. That's a bigger systemic risk right now, I think, than it is to, like, people businesses, whether you're accountants or marketing agencies or whatever. If you can use AI, you can probably 10x your output. And so you become an incredibly valuable tool for people.
Absolutely, and I think Catie wanted to say something, but I also want to tie into the talent side of things in a minute. But the ROI of this as well, and the on-chain data, and the shift of talent for you, Catie, how does that look like, and how you seeing this is shifting?
Yeah, I was just to kind of back up what you guys were saying as well, is understanding how to use it. I mean, there'll be agencies that we've worked with, like the third parties, that will send a proposal, and it's clearly just like the first prompt of AI. I mean, like, they don't even like try and clean it up, it's like, so clearly that's all it is. So understanding how to use it and use the tool is really what's going to be important. I think it was, what was it, Coinbase, that he fired a bunch of people that didn't want to adopt to AI or something like that. So I think it's really important, but also from a perspective, like you were saying, of ROI as an agency, and using AI to understand how we can, I don't want to say cut corners, but how we can improve efficiencies in what we're putting out. So for us, the tool we're building, Roger AI, is all about gathering more on-chain data and using AI to optimize what that on-chain data is, and how we can then use that on-chain data to increase marketing spend. So, or not increase marketing spend, but ROI from marketing spend. So if you're giving me 20K for a marketing spend, I know and I can attach how that ROI looks much better, because I have real data that's come through using AI to improve it, to be able to give something, a stronger product back to the client, versus before a lot, when we talked about community a year ago or 2 years ago, it was just build a community. However, we didn't really know what the value of that community is, but now we can look and we can say we have 20 whales, we have a community worth 100 million, 200 million, all of that stuff. And before it was just, we have 100,000 people on Twitter. So I think it's all about the optimization of AI, how we use it, how we learn to use the tooling. I'm not going to pretend I know very much more than probably the first, second, maybe third prompt of AI. But that's what I'm excited about in this space, is to see how devs are using it, how we use it as marketers, the tools that we're building, products that are coming out of it. It's going to be a whole new generation of people that, like you guys are saying, understanding that level of how to use it and new jobs that are created out of it. Obviously, if you give me a proposal that's the first prompt of AI, AI has replaced your job. But if you understand how to use it to a better degree, you become invaluable. So yeah.
Do you reject it as soon as you see an AI?
No, I bought it. No, I'm just kidding. Yeah, we rejected it. But it's funny because, of course, then in this case, it was a client, and they were like, "Oh, it's only $1,000, and they're going to do all this," and we're like, "It literally, we don't even know if the guys that did if they even speak English. You know what I mean? It's just, but people buy it because it looks fancy. Yeah, but no, we rejected it."
Team, any thoughts?
I think what we're seeing as well with this is that if you're 10 times more productive, then you see 10 times more content out there. 10 times more articles, 10 times more videos, 10 times more of everything. And what it comes down to then is that the skillful creatives and the skillful marketeers are the ones that will stand out, because the competition is getting, of course, if it's there's a finite amount of time that everybody has to spend on X or on YouTube, and when there's 10 times more content, that means that it's much more competition. So one thing that becomes more and more important is kind of like the taste and being part of, kind of becoming putting yourself into the customer's mindset. And one thing that becomes very important is, as a marketeer, to always be out testing the products, doing so that you're out in the arena, so to speak, because then you can create the campaigns that stands out, and the creative, the tweets, the posts, and everything that is that people can understand and that stands out, basically. So it comes with an upside for the skilled marketeer and the skilled storytellers, and I think that's an opportunity as well.
The biggest downside, actually, one of the biggest downsides that we've actually done, I don't know if anyone knows that you can actually get a seat on Blue Origin with Ton and Telegram. So honestly is Blue Origin. So Justin Sun spent 28 million on a seat, and then anyone in this room could get on Blue Origin. I don't know if anyone wants to go in the space, but it's not that tricky to do. So it really is. Even the handsome guy over there that's smiling and nodding away, you can get a seat on it. But I said to these guys, why hasn't it done very well? And they said, their media campaign's been amazing. And the feedback I got from the community was, it's all AI, it's got to be fake. And the sad thing for these guys is it wasn't AI at all, but now everyone assumes it's AI and it's all fake. So there is obviously a downside. So I now have said, we're going to, and maybe my PR agency after this will tell me it's the wrong idea, we need to near enough dumb down some of the visuals to make it look real and not AI, even though it's high quality. So there's going to be a lot more of that as well, actually.
I think another way I look about this, if you look beyond just maybe 6 to 12 months, but a longer term time horizon, I think the thing I kind of lose sleep a lot about as well, a little bit, is actually right now, as marketers in particular, we're thinking about people, right? We're marketing to humans. We're like, oh, we need to get attention. Oh, there's a lot of noise. How do we get attention on the timeline? But when we get to a stage where actually it's AI agents are most of the people in the market, and you're using AI to market to AI, actually that's a fundamentally different thought process, right? Because for now, us as humans, we have psychological reasons why something might grab our attention or why something might convince us. Whereas an AI is going to see everything everywhere and then make decisions based on trust, right? Attention doesn't matter anymore to AI because it can read everything. And then it sort of needs actually the data and the citations and the reasons why it decides. So if I'm selling shoes, right, I'm selling Adidas trainers, I want to get to a stage where when you tell your AI agent, hey, go and find me the best trainers for this outfit that I'm wearing later, I need to get in your mind that you prompt that thing to say, go and find me Adidas trainers. Don't just go and find me trainers, because otherwise it's going to go to the web and look at everything. And you know, unless you've got a reason why Adidas trainers are better than everything else, then you're going to battle differently. So I think fundamentally how we market things is actually going to change. All right, maybe that's a longer term time horizon, but that's probably going to come around pretty quick. And so all this stuff around storytelling and attention and like quality of content, it's what we worry about now, but I'm always interested in what does that look like in a couple of years' time. Maybe none of that actually matters as much.
No, but I mean, we've all gone down the Soros rabbit hole, I'm sure. Or it's like intense how good the AI is, and you can't quite tell what's real, what's not anymore. It's going to be like a total Terminator moment where the AI is fighting the AI. I think that the whole attention narrative is going to be really interesting because it's the same. It's people talk about it on all the platforms, like dating platforms on Tinder. They say half of that is AI. So it's like you're trying to fight the noise, but the noise is AI. So how do you combat that?
That's very true, and that brings us to the point that I want to talk about as a psychologist myself. The psychology point is very important, and the human side of growth as well. How much are we bothered to talk to a person or deal with a human for the creativity, for the emotional intelligence that we have? We need this as humans, right? I believe in my standpoint, but how much do we need that within projects, the communities, etc.? So where do we find the balance? Where do you think this is going? Because I think this is an important point to wrap up with.
I think like, today, if I look at the last 6 months of this year, some of the best performing content out there in the market is in real life video stuff or creator content, and I'm not surprised by that. Right? There's a reason why, because that has a psychological connection to people. Right? There's a reason why when you see the founder doing an interview, you go, all right, like there's like genuine, that's a real founder, that's a real person, I believe what they're saying. Or when you have KOLs talking about stuff, there's a real PR and KOLs and all this stuff, there's an authority bias that people have psychologically that means that's important. And so in real life footage and all these creators that are doing fantastic stuff, that's some of the best performing content right now. And I think part of that is that, and then the other half is there's a lot of AI slop, and people are kind of getting sick of that. And so that is what we're seeing today. Maybe that's not what we see in the future, but certainly today, that's having a massive impact. And I think the psychological element of that is really valuable. And I'm a bit of a psychology nerd myself. Like I love cognitive biases and psychological biases. I think the best marketers in the world understand how people think, because that's what we're doing. Right? We're trying to just convince you, or tell you the story and convince you, hey, this is the best thing and this is why. And actually in crypto, I think there's a few biases that are really valuable that can have a massive impact on success or not of messaging and campaigns. Like, loss aversion is like a really clear thing. Well, people are 2x more likely to respond to something if they think you're going to make a loss rather than a gain. So don't tell them, hey, my project's really great, you're going to make loads of money. Tell them, hey, my project's really great, these 12,000 people have made loads of money and you've made none. And like they're 2x more likely to react to it. And so I think there are psychological biases that we should and can use that are always going to have a big impact and have done for decades in marketing. But as I said before, when that shift happens to sort of more AI being used to actually like shop or get advice or research or do whatever, then we've got to think about what are these algorithmic biases. Like maybe you got to surface the data first, right? You tell this AI to go and find you the best pair of shoes that has whatever, right? They're white and they have this rating. Maybe it finds the first one and then tells you that, but so the other ones never even get seen. So you've got to think about what are the biases that these agents are going to have. So I think the whole thing is a really interesting shift.
I saw Pinterest has now a filter that you can turn on and off AI. So it's like, do you want to see AI images?
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, like it was like everyone's like, oh, this is brilliant, because the amount of slop now that is on all these channels, even on my LinkedIn, whenever I post, there's about 12 comments that are definitely AI, and it's like, well, that's just a bit pointless. And
try Twitter, mate.
Yeah, well, yeah. But yeah.
I think I agree with. It was also actually why we in our office in Lisbon we opened up a podcast studio. So where we are inviting clients and creators and doubling down on that the human touch, where you are meeting up and where you can basically record content with both clients and with content creators, inviting them over and doing more in-depth like podcasts in a good environment. So I think that's the future, and fully agree with what you said, Danny, as well. So exciting times ahead.
Yeah, the pendulum will swing. So we'll go all the way to AI, and then we'll need to have that human touch again. I think that's why Web3 events do so well at the same time, because we all live in this like ethereal world, and we like to have that human touch, make sure that you really exist. Look, Danny until today was a penguin, so
Yep.
now I know
I
you're a real
still am.
person.
Yeah, I wanted to talk about NFTs as well, but I don't think we have enough time. But I think it's so true about bringing the human common sense back. Let's build really strong automation tools and have that automated agency, if you like. But also, we cannot forget that creativity to bring organic sort of growth, it's needed by humans, and otherwise we wouldn't be here, any of us. So I think this is super important. And before we wrap up, I wanted to do a quick fire. So 2 questions. Is one, advice to anyone in the audience that they can start using from today in terms of whether it's prompting or that can help them stay ahead, and then a reference like a Substack, X account, or YouTube account that you love, so they can go away with it.
Very quick.
You want to start? Okay. Tim, you start.
All right. Theories and knowing stuff is very different from doing. So the first thing is just go out there, download all of the tools, pay the subscriptions, and try, set out like, I want to do this, and then don't stop until you have done it. The second part, I would say, is in crypto we live a lot on X, and there's so many different good AI content creators that basically the only thing they do is long threads and deep dives. I don't have a specific one in mind, but go to X and search for like AI content creator, and you will find 10 incredible ones.
Yeah, I mean, I'm a huge fan of The Boring Marketer. I don't know if anyone else follows him or what looks at his stuff. We did a on-chain growth summit in Berlin earlier this year, and he came along and did a session. It just blew my mind. The guy's brilliant. And so if you want to understand how vibe coding works, like how can you automate marketing, how can you improve what you do, I think that guy's great. So yeah, Boring Marketer, no affiliation, but I just really like his stuff.
Who was it?
The Boring Marketer, he's called.
Okay, so what was it? One key takeaway and where to find? Yeah, so you can follow the agency. We try and give some information that's interesting, hopefully. And one other thing I think important to take away from today as you grow in projects is not to look at quantity, but to look at quality. I think a lot of people in growth, if that's what we're talking about today, try and think of just making a lot of noise, but instead of doing that, try and hone in on your narrative. And if you need to use AI to do that, but really look for quality over quantity.
One thing maybe you've not noticed, Pavel Durov, the Telegram founder, has opened this big center out in Kazakhstan. He's trying to link Web3, blockchain, messaging. So that is something to look forward to in the coming months. And just before we finish up, got some very sad news. Our MC, Rue, this is his last day in London ever. So you're moving away. So everyone go,
Oh.
You're not going to Dubai though, are you? He's going to Dubai? Vietnam, and the Dubai of Asia then. So yeah, just think about that when he's on stage emceeing. He's doing this in his last day of London. Kansas crew, see me afterwards, and one of you, I'll send you that gift as I promised. There we go.
Lovely way to wrap it up. I couldn't wrap it up better myself. I think, the way to wrap this up is, we still need humans, built by AI, on-chain. AI data is going to be very important and super important to run growth, but we still need to bring it back to humanity and to being organic. So thank you ever so much, guys. Round of applause. And to our MC.
Thank you.
Thank you.